Hello and welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Atlantic City. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen, and we are taking a look here at a Hall of Famer on the left-hand side, Stephen O'Mahony Schwartz, and he is playing against Luis Niemann on the right side of your screen.
It looks like Luis is playing the Rakdos deck, probably a similar deck list to the one that Tyler Lytle won Grand Prix San Antonio with and John Bolding won Grand Prix Charleston with.
Get a look
Steve
at
O'Mahony
Luis,
Schwartz, it looks
Steve
like
there.
he is playing blue-white, perhaps blue-white-red. An attack for 2 from Luis. Going to drop Steven down to 18 here. Now, Luis wants to apply as much pressure as possible in these early turns because he's playing against a control deck. Being on the play is going to be pretty huge here. Steve's going to need to stabilize with something like Supreme Verdict on a key turn, but looks of it, it looks like he's a Runechanter's Pike in his hand, so I don't even know if there are Supreme Verdicts in his main deck.
All right, so it looks like he might be on some type, unlike more like a blue-white flash type deck, maybe even the blue-white-red. We've seen that around. He's holding his cards pretty close to the vest here. Can't quite see. I did see that he has a mana leak in his hand, or a
Rewind.
a rewind. Thank you.
Yep.
So that is indicative of a blue-white or a blue-white-red flash deck. I see he's also got a Snapcaster Mage, an Azorius Charm, which he's thinking about using right now.
And he'll probably use that Azorius Charm and just put the Gravecrawler and or the Diregraph Ghoul back on top of Luis's library. It doesn't really matter which one he chooses to do, but this is best case scenario for an Azorius Charm. You don't know if Luis may not have a third land in his hand, and then that could be really huge. It could stifle him a lot. Just saving yourself that 4 damage over the course of the next 2 turns.
This should be a messenger. Big. Yes, it is. He's going to deliver a message, and Steve's going to, looks like, take a quick read of the card just to make sure that he knows exactly what it does. That's a
Steve's
thing
like, cards were a lot worse when I played, huh?
Yeah, you'll see a lot of top players take that time, just that brief moment to just read a card, even if they know. You know what I mean? Like, it's
just
not
to make sure.
Like he could tell you, but you just read it to clarify and get that card and get it correctly done in your head. And he's got another Plains here, which means he's not going to have access to Dissipate this turn. And he's going to ship the turn back, so Luis is going to redraw the Diregraph Ghoul. He's got a 4th land, and it looks like he's got a 4-drop in the form of a Falkenrath Aristocrat. And Steve says, let me read that thing. What does that do? It can't be that good, right? Actually, it is. He sets it on the table. I don't know if that indicates that it's actually resolved or not. And we see Luisa ask the same question, and it does, in fact, resolve. And attacks are coming in, and Luis is attacking for 9 here on turn 4. Steve O'Mahony Schwartz is already at 14. This would drop him down to 5.
It's a big turn of events here. So an Azorius Charm and that Falkenrath Aristocrat's pretty good, but it's still going to be attacking next turn. It does have haste. So
haste, absolutely critical, and an ability that we've seen more and more in standard. Luis passes the turn back, and let's see what...
Now, it's so brutal for Steve here. Is even if Steve can play a 4th land and cast Supreme Verdict, he's still dead on board.
Is he?
Yeah, the Dross Messenger will come back, put him at 7, be 4 power, and the Aristocrat swings him for lethal. So even if you Wrath,
that is brutal.
You're dead on board at 9. And that's the thing about this Rakdos deck.
Yeah, very, very resilient, and and Steve doesn't have the second blue source for Rewind either. He's found a
doesn't have a second blue source
for
Luis Niemann to Azorius either.
Yeah, he doesn't. So it looks like I think Luis might just win right here. That's 4-7-9. So Steve can play Snapcaster Mage to block Gravecrawler, but he can't do it. He can't even block the messenger with it because he's still just dead. All right, he's got a Restoration Angel. That's more like it.
And not the end of the world here.
But is he basically forced to block the Aristocrat here?
Well,
because Luis has not played a land for the turn, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have one.
So there are a few things that can happen here. If he blocks the messenger, he takes 6, 7, 8. He'll go to 1 if he blocks the messenger, and then he can Wrath and save himself. He instead chooses to block Gravecrawler.
Yeah, so he says second main phase, sacrifice my Drolf's Messenger to my Aristocrat, Undying Trigger goes on the stack, and you take 2 and you're dead.
Yep.
Yeah, so he was in a really bad spot there. Steve was, and he just got ranched, as we say, in game 1 by Luis Niemann. So moving on to the sideboards here, we don't quite have.
I'm going to take a quick peek over here at Shahar Shenhar and Brian DeMars.
Let's take a look. Yeah, let's take a look over at the other match.
We have Brian DeMars on the right here playing a Jund concoction, while on the right we have Shahar Shenhar playing Naya. And Ultimate Price is going to hit that Restoration Angel. Lotless Troll as a 4/3 regenerator. Pretty strong here.
Looks like Brian DeMars is playing a pretty tame deck for what he's used to in Legacy.
Oh, yeah.
Kill your guy, attack you.
Excited, though. I'm excited to see a Jund midrange deck on camera. Or it looks like it's a more aggressive Jund deck if he has Lotless Troll and Knight of Infamy.
Yeah, the last time you and I were in the booth together, we saw a pretty sweet Jund deck from Willie Adel, and it looks like it's evolved into something pretty impressive here. He's bashing in there for 4 right now with a Lotless Troll.
And a Giraffe's Messenger being discarded to that Lotless Troll. Going to get a little bit bigger now. Or rather, Gravecrawler, I'm sorry.
And another Gravecrawler. That's a nice little synergy that this deck has, is being able to pitch Gravecrawlers to your Lotless Troll and then buy them right back because Lotless Troll is a zombie. One of the things that people noticed early.
Brian DeMars may actually get punished for discarding an extra card of that Lotless Troll because now it does have 5 power. And that 5 power regenerator with Trample is going to be pretty difficult for people to beat, but Selesnya Charm can just exile it.
It exiles
if he had left it at 4 power, it would have been immune to the Selesnya Charms.
Does not care about regeneration.
Looks like Shahar is going to get an opportunity here to Restoration Angel, if he so desires, and cast Selesnya Charm.
This is a sequence that we're going to probably have to get used to seeing for the duration of this weekend. Is Restoration Angel targeting a Thragtusk. It's a very powerful interaction. Life gain, you get a creature out of the deal. You can even create a surprise blocker.
Now Shahar going to jump back up to 16 from that. That's the thing about that. Thragtusk and Restoration Angel in conjunction with each other, not only have they created such an incredible board presence, just the 2 cards, they've also gained him 10 life.
That's right. And we see that Shahar has definitely left up mana so that he can, in fact, Selesnya Charm if he decides that that's what he wants to do. Brian has drawn another Gravecrawler.
We're going to see if Brian can come with an answer. Unfortunately for him, Shahar has Selesnya Charm and Bonfire in his hand. So if Brian plays something that's on the top end that Shahar can't deal with, Shahar can just simply Selesnya Charm it. And if Shahar plays something little, he's just going to completely blow Brian out with this Bonfire here. Things are looking very good for the young master Shahar Shenhar at this point in time.
Oh, you were doing one of the infinite drafts? Yeah. Oh. That's pretty. It's actually, I'm much better. Oh, yeah.
Was it still a happy hour draft?
No. Happy hour's over.
Oh.
Now everyone's sad.
And now Brian actually goes ahead and plays that Aristocrat, which it looked like he did. Then Shahar can end step Selesnya Charm away the Lotless Troll, and then Bonfire for 2 or 3 on his turn, and leave Brian with nothing in play. And then he can attack for huge damage.
Well, Brian will have his Aristocrat, right? He can just sack the Gravecrawler to give it indestructible. But still, it is enough.
Yeah, it's enough anyway.
Yeah, it was enough anyway. I mean, those Gravecrawlers weren't going to block anyway,
yeah.
But yeah. All right, so Shahar Shenhar takes the first game here in round 6 from Atlantic City over Brian DeMars. In our main feature match table, we have Steve O'Mani Schwartz versus Luis Neiman.
Also, we are now taking sign-ups for the 5 p.m. sealed for the sets.
And it looks like they're just finishing up shuffling. Luis was able to take game number 1 really in impressive fashion. I mean, he came out of the gates quickly, and it was just unrelenting. 2 Azorius Charm and a Restoration Angel from Steve O'Many-Shorts wasn't even close to enough to deal with the onslaught that Luis
I mean, he had a turn 2 Azorius Charm, a turn 3 Azorius Charm, then a turn 4 Restoration Angel, so it's a very reasonable start. But Luis, was on the play and went turn 1 Gravecrawler, turn 2 Diregraph Ghoul, turn 3 Giralf's Messenger, turn 4 Aristocrat.
Right.
And that's just too much.
That's just too much, even especially given what I mean, look at the cards that got Azorius Charmed, or at least that he could have. There's really no great options. Your Azorius Charming a 1-drop, which is fine but not super impressive, or you're taking more damage from the Giralf's Messenger from its Enter the Battlefield trigger, or you're facing down haste creatures that don't really care. I mean, it's a tempo hit, but not that big of a deal. All right, we see Luis has a pretty land-heavy hand here, although is it 2 Hell Riders, Knight of Infamy?
I think so. So I'm pretty sure Luis is going to keep this. It's pretty difficult to mulligan a hand like that.
I'm keeping.
I mean,
both keeping.
Also probably wrong.
Interestingly, Steve O'Many-Shorts has led off with an island instead of a Hollowed Fountain.
So probably a Thought Scour, yep.
There it is. Solid read by JVL there.
Tiago Melton and
End step Thought Scours is going to draw his card for the turn after milling away a Plains and an Augur of Bolas.
Steve may just use this opportunity to resolve a Runechanter's Pike if he doesn't have any type of reactive play for his opponent's turn. That'd probably be a good choice.
Looks like he is going to Thought Scour himself in the main phase here. It kind of made it look like he was digging for a land, but he wasn't. All right, 2-drop is going to be Knight of Infamy for Luis Niemann. And we see Steve pick it up to. He's like, wait, there's more? These cards did get pretty good, especially the creatures, right, from Steve's heyday.
Steve might be thinking to himself, man, I should have played Guys.
All right, there's one. An Augur of Bolas. He's going to look at the top 3 and see if he can find an instant or sorcery. He gets to pick one and put it in his hand. I think he's bricked here, though. And he got nothing. Put all his cards to the bottom. See if he has that land follow-up.
And that's a shame. It looks here like he has 22 cards to hit with that. So
a little unlucky there for Steven. All right, Luis has declare attackers, and he's going to battle in for 3 damage thanks to Exalted on his Knight of Infamy. Card does a lot of work. I remember when Red-Black won back-to-back GPs near the end of last year. It looks like Luis is playing a land and just saying go.
So he's just got to hold on until Hell Riders.
Yeah, both players in their winter interview both said that they thought Knight of Infamy was the best card in their deck on the day.
There's been a lot of positive feedback on that card. I'm beginning to see that card in more aggressive Jund decks. It's being played in aggressive green-black decks that have cards like Dreadbridge Goliath.
Yeah, Deadbridge Goliath.
Deadbridge.
I've seen those.
Goliath.
All right. Steve is going to attack for 1. Dropping Luis down to 19. And does he have a follow-up play? For the most part, his deck just passes a turn and plays all of its stuff on your turn. It's one of the benefits of playing a deck like this. Looks like Luis has really good mana here. He can cast whatever he wants. But he's going to start off just by battling in again with his Knight of Infamy. Assuming he's going to play his land, but it doesn't look like he wants to run Hell Riders into Counter Magic or Restoration Angel. So he's just going to pass the turn back, and Steve just says, all right. Doesn't play anything for the turn.
I mean, Steve's taking 3 a turn. Luis is only taking 1 a turn. Unfortunately, not playing anything definitely bodes well for Steve in the long term.
Yeah, played a land.
Okay.
Yeah.
It may seem like this hit you for 3, I hit you for 1 favors the guy who's hitting for 3, but it doesn't.
Yeah, Luis is going to have to start committing threats to the board. Maybe he's got all, well, he's drawn a Hell Rider for the turn. I thought he had 2 others, but it could be Thundermaw Hellkites, maybe. It is. I think that both of those cards were actually Thundermaw Hellkites. All right, so this makes sense. He's going to slam that down again. It's got to be funny for Steve, and he's picking up the cards to read them. And, you know, the creatures have gotten so good lately that you got to look at these and just be in kind of wonder at how amazing these creatures have really gotten. Even a fairly, mid-level card like Knight of Infamy has, multiple keywords.
Timothy Marmo, your twisted draft is waiting.
And a card like Thundermaw Hellkite that's really pushed on power level is just super impressive. Right now it's on the stack, I'm assuming. All right, so it does resolve. The trigger goes. It doesn't happen. But Luis is being – I like the way he plays. He's very thorough. He announces all of his triggers even if they're not relevant. Yeah. And I think that's a good habit to get into so that when they are, you don't mess it up. He's going to attack with both of his creatures. He's
a watchdog. Very smart guy.
Yeah, he's battling in for half of Stephen O'Many Schwartz's life total right now. Steve did not have a Dissipate or a Rewind to take care of Thundermaw Hellkite. He's just going to take it and go to 7. Pass the turn. This is incredible. Steve has a lot of cards in hand. So he's got to do something here, right? Wow, he just has no play for 2 turns straight with 5 lands on the table and like 6 cards in hand. He's still going to keep attacking with his Augur. Are we going to see a Supreme Verdict
Supreme
here?
Verdict. Because I saw the Snapcaster in his hand, so I was like, oh, why is he not? But that was a greedy Supreme Verdict.
Wow, he's put himself at 7. Luis is going to be able to most likely play his Thundermaw Hellkite or anything. I think he's got another Thundermaw, though, and just bash in there for 5. Here it comes. Thundermaw Hellkite. Trigger. Attack you.
And 1 blue mana is not going to do much.
No, there's no relevant spell here for 1 blue. And Steven looks like he's just going to take 5 to the face yet again as Luis continues the plan. All right, he's got an Unsummon. Good old Unsummon. I didn't think about that.
Okay, so that actually, it all makes sense now. Well played, Steve. Well played.
He is at 7. And he is going to be facing down another one, but this line of play allowed him to wrath the board and not take that
lose any
huge
cards
hit.
for it. So now Steve's actually in a really good spot, right? Because
he's got that Snapcaster in his mage as well.
He's got
good old Unsummon to the rescue. People were playing before with
Vapor Snag.
With Vapor Snag, but then in the standard that immediately followed, people were playing Unsummon because I think they just missed Vapor Snag, but then it kind of fell out of favor. And this blue-white deck seems to use it well.
It's not really there in power level, especially with today's cards. It's
all right. 5 mana Thundermaw Hellkite. We see Steve take a look. He's going to Thought Scour. Target himself. Ooh, so close. Luis makes sure that he knows you haven't drawn that for the turn. Now maybe he finds another one though, another Terminus. Nope, doesn't look like it. He's drawn the card, so this is not going to be a Terminus.
And the Thundermaw Hellkite's on the stack too, so you can't Terminus. As now.
That is a good point.
So this is still on the stack.
Yeah, still on the stack.
I imagine we may see Snapcaster Azorius Charm here.
Did he mill away in Azorius Charm?
I believe he did on turn
early.
Yeah, turn 1.
Okay, and even then he also has the Unsummon in a pinch here to Snapcaster Mage back.
Yeah.
He can trade off for that Gravecrawler, which at least at the moment doesn't look like it's going to be coming back. All right, there's the Snapcaster, and Luis wants to get a preview of what's about to happen. He says it resolves. I think actually it is maybe just the Unsummon. What is he digging for here? Where is it? Azorius Charm way down at the bottom? No, just going for the old Unsummon here. He's going to Unsummon the Hellkite and presumably trade off with the Gravecrawler?
Yeah, I imagine he's going to trade here.
Yeah. Seems reasonable, especially since Luis doesn't, at least at this moment, have another zombie. And Luis just has to pass the turn back. At what point do you start casting Hellrider instead? Which can get in for damage around cards like that.
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean,
he could have hit him for 2 with it.
Hellrider is also dangerous though because he would be playing into Restoration Angel.
That's right, which is a big risk.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Where the winner gets a foil set of Return to Ravnica.
All right, Rock's Faith Mender for Steve Homani Schwartz means he has a plan. He now needs to find a way to gain life. Now, the Rock's Faith Mender is going to do an admirable job itself, but 2 life gained, not irrelevant, not super board impacting either. Luis's deck has no problem dealing huge chunks of damage and certainly won't worry about a couple of life here or there from Steven's deck, but man, if he starts going crazy with that Rock's Faith Mender, things change pretty drastically. Steve has 3 mana up. Luis asks for the trigger, so it has resolved, and he has entered the red zone. Now, I do see that there's a Azorius Charm in Steven's deck, but he needs, in order to really abuse it, he'd like to have like a Restoration Angel so he could give his guys lifelink and gain a huge chunk of life, but in this case, he needs to just use it. Oh, interesting. So Luis passes back but does not play his Gravecrawler. Do you think that was an oversight, or do you think he has a plan in his hand?
I think it was an oversight.
Okay. Passes the turn. That could matter later, as Hellrider certainly cares about how many other creatures you have.
It's certainly true. Yeah, I mean, at this point, he has. Does he have double Hellrider in hand?
I think he has 1 Hellrider.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that, but.
Yeah, because if he has double Hellrider, things can get really crazy here. But.
Yeah, because he can just plow through at least one of them, and if they both resolve, probably the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. What is his other card there? Can't quite tell.
Yeah, neither can I.
We'll try to get a look at it. So let's see what Steve's got. He's got Sphinx's Revelation. Now, has he left up 1 mana here? He's going to gain 6 here. Is there any reason why he wouldn't go for the full amount? He wouldn't play a Terminus right now. He wouldn't play an Unsummon. What's going through
Does
his
he have a Thought Scour?
magic genius mind?
Maybe he has a Thought Scour he wants
Yeah,
to
if he's got a
play?
Thought Scour, that just draws him 1 card. Same thing as just spending
Yeah,
the
it's
mana,
the same thing as the Revelation.
Except
I'm
for
trying
he
to
gains
think.
2
Mills
life.
2 for his Pikes.
Sure. All right, so he's going to attack in there for 1. He's going to gain 2 life off the deal, though.
He must have something.
He's got to have something. Is he just keeping up Unsummon mana for if Hellkite comes back down? Is that all this is?
Or maybe like a Saving Grass mana, or.
All right, he knows that Thundermaw Hellkite is in Luis's hand. I believe he has 2 Thundermaw Hellkites and a Hellrider. Can that be? Man, that's a stacked hand. And he is just going to keep jamming these things in there.
For 7 damage at Steve here.
All right, it is an Unsummon. And that's going to just take away 5 damage, but he's still going to take 2 and drop down to 13. Does Luis have a follow-up play is the question.
Players who sign up for Booster Draft number 26.
He does not.
Please meet in the gallery place. We're ready to begin. Booster Draft 26.
Yeah, Matt Ness is actually on the team. It's called Team Panic.
All right, Steve just gathering himself here a bit. Needs to play a little bit faster now. Wants to finish this match in time.
All right, Augur of Bolas, you know he's digging for another Sphinx's Revelation, and I think he just hit one. Oh, it's an Azorius Charm.
Not too bad.
Not too shabby either, but certainly not getting that second huge Sphinx's Revelation off would swing the pendulum firmly in Stephen O'Malley Schwartz's favor, you'd think. Does he have another Rock's Faithmender? He does. Now this just gets silly.
Whoa.
Trigger.
So
you get 4
he says
times as much. So
trigger,
he gets
trigger.
4.
Well, they're not triggers. It's
okay.
replacement. Yeah, it's replacement. So it just happens.
I like it. Luis is he's a good technical player. He's explaining that they're not triggers. It's just a replacement effect. It just happens.
It's good.
I like it. Yeah.
It's good to be honest.
All right, Cavern of Souls is a reasonable rip here for Luis, although at the moment, probably not huge.
I'll name Dragon.
He's going to name Dragon with his Cavern. We know why. And it looks like he's going to be able to go for, he's reading Cavern, he's going to be able to go for both Hellkite and Hellrider in the same turn here. Potentially try to get in a big hit.
It's going to be rough, though. I mean,
yeah,
can
it's
he
gonna
really
be very
deal
tough.
enough damage at this point? Steve's just going to be gaining so much life. He has double Rock's Faithbender.
Yeah, double Rock's Faithbender is going to be huge. And we did see that he also has an Azorius Charm if he can find anything with any reasonable power, like, again, a Restoration Angel or something. And a Hellrider as well.
I mean, he's going to bring the team in, but it's... I mean, that doesn't even do anything. He knows that Steve has Azorius Charm, so... I mean, I think the right play is to just attack with Hellkite.
That just get in for 6, unfortunately. Well, I guess because then he can leave back Hellrider and Diagraph Ghoul to double block one of the Faithmenders. We know
the
that
thing is by attacking with the Hellrider and the Diagraph Ghoul, you're letting him block with the Faithmender or getting a ton of life.
Yeah, you just can't do it.
Yeah.
You end up losing. Now, one of the things that we do see here, though, is that, Luis knows about the Azorius Charm. And that means that double block becomes not irrelevant. I mean, he doesn't lose a creature, but it doesn't actually get a Rock's Faithmender off the table. It looks like Steve's just going to use his Azorius Charm right now. He's doing everything he can to just stay alive longer. He's got a lot more card draw, a lot more ways to move through his deck. And again, if he hits something like Sphinx's Revelation, it's just going to be huge for him. All right, Steve passes the turn back. That isn't necessarily an indication of a whole lot here. And Luis has drawn that same Hellkite like 4 times or
this poor Hellkite.
Yeah, it's been bounced and Azorius Charmed all over the place. All it wants to do is breathe fire from above.
The Hellkite with the terrible anxiety disorder. It's just, what's going to happen?
It's just like not what's going to happen this time. Although it has resolved every time, which is, a lot more.
Hey guys, I'm back. Now you have to go. Sorry.
Yeah. And sure enough, it does get unsummoned again to his. Yeah. That Cavern of Souls, the last 2 times is ensured that it's going to survive, and it's going to be a cycled Azorius Charm this time for Steve O'Malley Schwartz. Also, a Runechanter's Pike would just be ridiculous here.
I think he has a Runechanter's Pike, right?
In the deck?
I think he might have just been slow rolling it this whole time.
Oh, I didn't know. It's hard for me to see. All right, he's got another steady stream of creatures here, so things are starting to look pretty good. He can do that after the Thundermaw Hellkite trigger. He's got 1 card left in his hand. He would for sure just play out the Pike at this point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if he had it.
Yeah.
If he had it, would have came down last turn for sure.
It's not like Luis is playing around anything, and it's not like Luis has to worry about counters with that Cavern of Souls. All right, so he's going to play an Aristocrat after the Cavern of Souls. After the Thundermaw Hellkite.
Yeah. And, even after this double Faithbender, Luis looking to apply a lot of pressure here. He has Thundermaw Hellkite and Falkenrath Aristocrat.
2 Hellrider triggers, both the so I have 15, 13, 4 blockers.
Joseph Page, you are missing an item that
so it looks like Steven is going to make a Spirit token.
Stage, Joseph Page. Also, Jacob Hashem. I have something that belongs to you. Please come to the side event stage. Jacob Hashem.
Yeah, now this Spirit can block the Aristocrat force Luis to tap one of his creatures.
To sack one
Sacrifice
of his creatures?
his creature,
Yeah.
one of his creatures, I mean. And that will give Steve the opportunity to swing with both Faithbenders. Thus gaining him 8 more,
4 damage.
I believe.
Diagraph Ghoul to the aristocrat. Damage?
And sure enough, Luis does sack his Diregraph Ghoul. Is it another Azorius Charm in hand for Omani Schwartz?
Really?
Steve. Trying to find the next
He
line.
does have another Azorius Charm, and this Thundermaw Hellkite
poor
that
Thundermaw
has just
Hellkite.
been through it all is once again on top of Luis Neiman's library. And Steve Omani Schwartz is out of cards. He has no more cards in play here. Luis Neiman still has 1 left, but he's facing down double Rock's Faithmender, which he knows can get quite silly. Right now, Steve does have an attack.
I mean, I think you certainly get him with double Faithbender.
Sure enough, that's exactly what he does. He attacks with both. One of them's going to get blocked by Hellrider because why not?
You gain 8.
And he's going to gain 8 life off of this exchange, which is going to put Steven up to 21.
So I have 14 to 21.
Pretty big. He needed that bad.
That's a huge life swing. And remember, that's just off of 2 1-powered guys with lifelink.
Yeah, Rock's Faithbender is one of those cards that, you know, it didn't really get talked about at all when it got released.
No.
And since then, it's made a lot of headway.
It's been a serviceable sideboard card for sure. You know, Nate and I were talking earlier about how Luis's deck, as he goes for that Thundermaw Hellkite yet again, is able to deal damage in such big chunks that it can not really have to worry too much about a Thragtusk. But what it does have to worry about is double Rock's Faithbender. That's the kind of life gain that can even overwhelm a deck as powerful as this Rakdos deck. All right, it looks like Luis is content, or maybe not, but he is just going to pass the turn back. And Steven is going to exile another one of his guys to make a dude.
You know, Steve, as this game goes on, he has this Moorland Haunt. He's just going to keep churning out more and more spirits.
Thundermaw can take care of those if he gets to like critical mass, but
I doubt that's the take that Steve's going to be taking here. The route that he's going to be taking here.
we hear Stevens just asked for a time in the round. He's gently nudging his opponent to make a play. And sure enough, he is going to attack with Thundermaw Hellkite. And he says, I'm going to block with my token. All right, so there's a second Thundermaw Hellkite in the second main phase. If he would have cast that first, it could have taken out the token and given him the chance to battle in with one of his Hellkites. We know Luis had that Gravecrawler also in the board in his graveyard, but he never cast it again, and now he doesn't have any zombies with which to do so. So he let Steve get away with one there, I think. If he wanted to get in for 5, you just go for that Hellkite first. He knows it's going to resolve. He's going to get that trigger, and it's going to clear away that 1/1 Flying Spirit token. As a result, Steve's still sitting at 20. His life total's done a similar up and down to what we've got from that poor Hellkite, and it's right back where it started.
Yep. Block both? Sure. Second. Go ahead.
All right, there's a Diregraph Ghoul, but he once again doesn't cast that Gravecrawler.
I think he may have forgotten about it.
I think he did too. It's something that can happen pretty easily. And it looks like Steve's just drawn a land and just says go.
He's just ripping land after land, huh?
Yeah, now, is that a Geralf's Messenger for Luis Niemann? It is indeed. He's got a Swamp and a Geralf's Messenger in hand. Is there any reason not to just run out the Geralf's Messenger here? He can set up a turn where he can swing in with everybody and kill him with Hellrider triggers. He needs to chip away at Steve's life total with the with his flyers, and then he's going to set up a turn eventually where he can turn all his guys sideways, get a bunch of Hellrider triggers, and have Steven die. Right now, though, he's attacking for 14 in the air, plus 3 triggers from Hellrider, equals 17. That's going to force Steven to either draw something sweet or start attacking with his Rocks Faithmenders, and the board that Luis has assembled here can certainly race him at this point. And he's got him with the Geralf's Messenger for the last 2 points of damage. And that's going to do it. Luis Niemann is able to get by Hall of Famer Steve O'Many Schwartz with his Rakdos deck.
The guilds of Ravnica continue plotting, so myopic in their quest for power that they're unaware of our machinations. Under my stewardship, House Dimir will assume dominion over this city. Toward that end, the Simics' ability to evolve and adapt could prove an asset. They breed new predators without thought to the prey they might hunt, and the marginalized rule. The clan's explosive violence can provide the finest cover for our covert dealings. The Orzhov Syndicate skillfully restored the facade of piety, but are driven as ever by base pursuits of wealth and power. Throughout, my Dimir agents hear all and see all, gathering secrets from the shadows, never attracting the attention of those righteous enforcers known as the Boros Legion. Its platoons will be kept busy with other, less subtle crimes. My path will be made clear. No one of this world can stop me.
One more second. And we're back. And Jake's Waters back. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe, Jacob Van Lunen, and we just saw Hall of Famer Steve O'Many Schwartz fall to Luis Niemann, local East Coast players from New York. And
both